Hello, I'm Tara Lynn of Geek Saga Entertainment here with my co-host Manny for a new-ish episode concept that we're calling Media That Made Us Cringe. This particular concept will probably be a one-time miniseries. Essentially, it's based on our 90s and naughties Cringe Factor series, but at least for what we'll be covering in this miniseries of episodes, it has a touch of that media that made us feel, at least for me anyway, which I did explain a little bit in the first episode.
So I'm Manny, and for this Media That Made Us Cringe episode, we're continuing with the second Twilight series movie, New Moon, based, of course, on Stephenie Meyer's book by the same name.
Yeah, and like I said in our Twilight episode, these books and movies are so famous/infamous that I don't think we need to summarize them. If you missed that episode, I also got into my reasoning as to why this is a media that made us as well as a cringe episode. I do want to just repeat again, also like we said in the first episode, that we are all for people loving what they love, liking what they like. This is not us making fun of you for liking the Twilight series or anything like that. This is just our personal feelings. If you disagree, please share your thoughts with us nicely, because we're making fun of it a little bit, but we're also recognizing that a lot of people love this stuff, and that's okay. We just don't. I wanted to talk a little bit about how when I read the books about a million years ago, okay, it was really only like 17 or 18 years ago, but still, it was another lifetime. I first read Twilight, obviously. I cringed throughout basically the whole thing, but the problem was I'd already purchased the whole series. I got the whole series on sale at Costco. So I was like, okay, I might as well keep reading. And while I didn't exactly like New Moon, I did feel a little bit better about it in some ways than I did about Twilight. And I think that's a lot to do because it brought back some of my own high school experiences and feelings. And it made me a little bit nostalgic, although to be fair, in that like, oh my God, I was so cringe, but now I have to see how much of my cringy high school self is similar to what happens in these books way. So I don't know, Manny, I'm curious. Have you had any memories pop up or similar thoughts when watching either of these movies?
Honestly, no, because all these movies to me is just kind of like one movie is what it is. I used to work at a sign shop and all I did was slave all day and all night. And we had one person who worked there who was younger, who was actually into like the movies when they came out. So they would come in and like talk about it. And I mean, I can't eye roll that much in a day before I give myself strain, just hearing about it. I'm just like, ugh, no. So the only memories I have of it is like not being able to walk past a Hot Topic for any reason whatsoever without seeing 1,000 shirts with either Edward or Jacob's face all over it. But again, just to reiterate, if you liked it and it was your thing, by all means, you keep at it. Totally fine. Yeah. I think it was just made for a little bit of a younger audience than I was at the time, so I just didn't click with me. But no memories, just more eye rolls of like, oh, okay, here we go. Another one.
Anyway, we will begin our discussion with our usual cringe factor list of 10 things we hate about this movie. And then we're pulling from our media that made us format to talk about bling sites, aka any personal insights we gleaned from watching. And just to again want to repeat that it's called bling sites because I heard some Twilight fans refer to the vampires in the series as the blings. And I find that amusing. We'll also rate it on a cringe factor scale of 1 to 10 spark dolls. Before concluding with our watch/read/play, please anything but this suggestion for the episode. Before we get started, you can follow me and therefore all of the Geek Saga endeavors at a Geek Saga on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
And you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Manissimo Art.
Just a couple other house cleaning items before we dig in. If you are listening to this as a podcast, pretty please make sure to hit those like and or subscribe buttons. We could also use some more ratings, especially on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We'd very much greatly appreciate it if you could take a moment to mark the Geek Saga Podcast 5 stars wherever you're listening. Last but hopefully not least, we hope that you'll check out the Geek Saga Entertainment Patreon. We have a lot of tiers with just $3 per month, getting you the most prevalent perk of early access to podcast episodes. Check it out at patreon.com/geeksaga_entertainment.
And now it's time for 10 things we hated about this movie. Only 10, we promise. First up is, we might not be doctors, but we're diagnosing Bella with Jurassicophobia, aka she's super obsessed with how old she is and afraid of getting any older at 18. Ah, the good old days when 18 was old in the teenage years. I mean, I get it. In that situation, body-wise, she'll be older than him forever, which really isn't a big deal, but like, whatever. Not like there's bigger fish to fry in that entire situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, just our society is already bad enough about this. And then this series comes along with all of these perpetually young and gorgeous. And of course, listen, this is not the only series that vampires exist and are like this, right? True Blood / the Sookie Stackhouse novels have a lot of that going on. Although in True Blood, when you're turned into a vampire, you retain the exact form you were in at the time that you were turned. So like if you were not the most attractive person in, society's eyes or whatever, you're still that same exact person. There's like one whole storyline about it in the first or second season. But anyway, yeah, so like the series comes along, and well, sure, I get that Bella's obsession is because Edward isn't physically aging. The dream in the beginning of this movie about her grandmother, who is actually her, like she thinks it's her grandma and then it's actually her. And then her just constant whining about not wanting to celebrate her 18th birthday because she's now older than Edward are just, they're so cringe. Like, not to keep using the word cringe over and over again, but it's so cringe. Like we get it. You don't have to keep reiterating.
Yeah, agreed.
Child, you are a baby. Stop.
You are a baby. And you look young as hell anyway,
Yeah.
Edward Cullen still looks older than you. I think he probably got a good another 5 or 6 years to figure it out, honestly.
Also, if I could have frozen myself in time at any age, it fucking for sure would not have been 18. It would have been like 35.
Yeah, probably the same for me.
Like 30, maybe let's say 32 to 36. Somewhere in that range I would have chosen. So
that's what I would have chosen too.
All right. Next, we have This movie is full of awkward. Take one. Awkward birthday party is awkward. Like, okay, we've already mentioned how Bella didn't want this birthday celebration, any sort of birthday celebrations in the first place, but the awkward Cullen birthday party that she doesn't even want because of the previously mentioned fear / hatred of getting old, eye roll, happens. And then once the party starts, it begins with Bella standing around opening all of their gifts with all of them they're not really circling her, but they're like grouped around her by couple. And they're all just standing there and she's standing there. Like, they have furniture in their house. Sit down to open your gifts. If you really have to do it right there and then, why are you all just, it was the weirdest blocking. And why is she standing? None of that. I mean, it makes a little bit of sense when what happens. They needed her to be standing for her to be flung across the room. But nobody else like this.
No, exactly. And look, when I first saw it, I was like, okay, well, they're socially awkward. But I'm like, but they're all around people all the time. Half of them go to school. The other one's a doctor. Like, you're around people. And the doctor's a charming guy. He's easy to talk to. Like, I think he would know to hey guys, let's just chill out. Let's sit down and open these gifts. No. Let's just surround her in a circle and watch her open it awkwardly.
Not even a circle, like a weird circle of couples that are it's very odd looking, and the blocking is weird. And I also just how did Alice not see what was going to happen before it happened? I know that she's blind to Bella's future, but she knows Edward and Jasper so well. It just, I get it. Plot convenience is convenient and all, but how did you not see? I know that you're blind to Bella specifically, but things happen in the future that she somehow sees when there are people around Bella who she knows not at all. So very weird. But even beyond that, they made this huge deal in the first movie about how fast Edward is, including during the baseball game. So let's just say he's supposed to be way faster than all of the others there, including Jasper. So if he's so fast and it's so important that he protect Bella, why didn't he just grab her and run away with her rather than flinging her away with all of his strength, apparently?
Again,
she would have been injured by the fling even if she hadn't been thrown into a glass cabinet or whatever it was.
Well, yeah, exactly. Just by touching her at that speed, that's the equivalent of getting in a car wreck, a head-on collision, because all your inside body parts are moving. Well, the inside of your body parts are not moving and the rest of your outside body is. That's how you get a concussion. So yeah, Edward, I don't know, man. I'm at a loss for that whole scene.
I know. And I know that with the burden of Bella, with him carrying her, he maybe wouldn't be faster than Jasper anymore, but there are 5 other vampires in that room, including Emmett, and Emmett is supposedly the strongest. They all seem okay about the tiny little bit of paper cut blood, right? It's only when she slices her arm open after Edward shoves her into the cabinet with the face on, whatever the fuck it was, that they're all kind of, ooh, can't do this anymore, except for Carlisle. But I don't know, this whole thing, so silly and contrived. And it leads to literally the whole rest of the movie plot too. Like a
Yep.
paper that's probably a meme, some sort of post thread from Tumblr or something about like the paper cut that ruined it all, you know?
Yep. This one was bad. This movie was just bad. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's move on to the third thing that we hate, which is, quote unquote, just come and take a walk with me. AKA Edward taking Bella for a walk in the woods to tell her that he's leaving and doesn't want her to come, and just leaving her there in the woods. What the fuck, man? Not even to mention that even though I know what he's doing, like I know what he's doing here, when he says that you're not good for me, and she replies, not good enough for you, but he doesn't bother correcting her. It's just gross.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I get it. He's like afraid that if he stays with her, that she'll die, you know, so he's breaking his promise to never leave her, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But like, it's just very like, I hate the it's not you, it's me thing, particularly when, yes, it's often true, but like in this case, it's so silly. He just leaves her in the woods. He takes her for a walk in the woods and just leaves her in the woods. And it's like evening too. It's getting dark. Like,
at least walk her home, man.
Yeah. In the end, she's so like distraught that she is out there like lost essentially for a period of time. And Charlie freaks out and he sends people after her and she has to get saved by one of the Quaalude guys. I can't recall actually, even though I just watched this movie a few days ago, like I can't recall if Charlie called them in or if the wolf just like happened to be out there. And then I don't know, like, yeah, the whole thing where he says, you're not good for me to her. And she's like, not good enough for you. At the very fucking least, tell her that's not what you're saying.
Yeah.
I know you're trying to do your best to like fuck her up so that she understands that you're never coming back. And then he literally like, I don't know if they make this as clear in the movie, but he literally like tears things out of, he like takes all the pictures of them and he takes like a mix CD that he made her out of her stereo and stuff. I think he says it in the movie, but I don't think they make it as clear that he does all these things. And it's like, but you still existed, and like people are they're gonna ask where you are when you just go away, and like the kids from school are probably gonna ask Bella because she's the only one who talks to you guys, and they're curious. Cool.
It's bad, man. I have a lot to say about Edward in this movie.
Well, for number 4, let's take a break from Edward for a moment and get into this whole let me just risk my life so I can hallucinate my ex-boyfriend thing. You know, aka Bella's reckless streak / adrenaline junkie era.
My question, was that actually Edward or that was just her in her brain?
No, it's in her brain. Yeah, she's
okay.
seeing things,
Gotcha.
which they don't make it very clear, but I think as far as I know, and like, maybe somebody will listen to this and correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I know, the author, Stephenie Meyer, actually said like, no, that's not actually Edward, because he can't read her mind anyway. There's no way he could project himself like that. He doesn't have any sort of powers like that. So yeah, it's her seeing what she thinks he would say because she promised him that she wouldn't do anything reckless, which again, so she's literally just risking her life so that she can hallucinate her ex-boyfriend. The first time she does it, when she goes off on the motorcycle with those guys in the books, she like thinks about going into a biker bar or something, and Jessica's like, girl, you're not 21, you can't go into that bar. And then Bella kind of like comes to her senses a little bit. In the movie, she actually goes on this random stranger, like way older than her dude's bike in downtown Port Angeles or wherever they are, and like she also, in that sense, she could have been putting Jessica in danger too by leaving her friend at night alone in the dark in a small city. But also like compared to where they live, so you're also endangering your friend. Cool, good job. I mean, I know Jessica isn't exactly a great friend to her, but
still,
still not fair. And then the cliff jumping.
Look,
have you ever been cliff jumping?
No, hell no. Are you kidding me? No, shit. I like to be alive. I like doing things that deal with life and to be alive, dude. And I am not a thrill seeker in that fashion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
no. I'm afraid of heights, like hardcore. And
that's how I am.
I have been cliff jumping in the sense that when I lived in Virginia, after college, there was this waterfall, this very small waterfall called Panther Falls. And I would say the cliff height over the pool beneath it, and the pool was very deep. It was like straight down from the edge of the rocks. There wasn't even really it was deep the whole way around, essentially. So you're not going to and the cliff was basically, it was actually out over the water a little bit. So like if you're jumping off into the water, you'd have to really seriously be an idiot and fuck up to hit anything. And it was maybe 20 feet high. And I did it once because I was egged into it. Even after that, we went back to Panther Falls several times and I never did it again because I was like, I don't want to do it. Like I didn't want to do it the first time.
Yeah.
It's like a little bit of a thrill, but like then you think back on it and you're like, and I got up there again one other time and my friend was like, you've done this before. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing it again, actually. Like I got all the way up here, but no, I'm done. And it's only 20 feet or something, maybe 25, but I'm done. I'm over this.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way, man. I just don't seek thrills like that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, I don't care. I'd much rather sit there and take pictures and just be like, whatever, dude. So no, I'm with you on that.
Well, and also in this case, this isn't, I'm trying to be specific about the place that I did it because these cliffs are, I don't know, what do you think? A couple, like 100 feet high at least?
I would say at least 100 feet high.
Yeah.
At least.
Over the Pacific Ocean. That is also extremely different from like, I don't know, a pool in the mountains like I did, or even like if you're jumping somewhere like, I don't know, the Caribbean or something, maybe. Like the Pacific Ocean is fucking wild. Especially along the California, Oregon, Washington coast, like especially. Okay, fine. If you want to, live dangerously like that, I guess that's your life or maybe lack of it soon. But
yeah,
for her to jump into the ocean in an area like that is just nonsense. Like she is not a fucking Olympic level swimmer or a supernatural being like the people she earlier sees doing it. That was a death wish moment, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I know she keeps saying I didn't really want to die, but girl.
You kind of did because look, even if the fall didn't kill you or the undertow didn't take you under, you're going to get fucking hypothermia. I've been in the Pacific Ocean. I know how fucking cold that water is. You go in there, shit. I went to the ocean in LA also, Venice Beach and shit. So it wasn't like it was super north like where they're at. And that water was fucking frigid.
Oh yeah. I've been to the beach in California in July and the water was like at best 55 degrees. So
yeah, fuck that. No, no, she would have got the hypothermia coming out of that shit.
And also, again, let's just repeat that she never used to be this sort of thrill seeker. She was always this really clumsy person who was kind of avoiding everything she could because she was like, I'll just always get hurt. I'll always end up injured or whatever. And then now living dangerously lets her hallucinate Edward. And he's not actually appearing to her. She's just having hallucinations. Girl, he is just a guy. You are a teenager. You will find somebody else. Sorry, not sorry.
Moving on, this movie is full of awkward. Take two. Awkward movie night is awkward. That was a weird scene. This whole movie scene was just bad, dude. Why didn't Bella just cancel when she realized it was just going to be her, Jacob, and Mike? Instead of rather than just super awkwardly having to sit between two dudes who like her. That's a lot of torture to go through, man. Especially if you're like not super into them or you're just still pining over somebody else, like, and
they don't even know each other before this.
No, exactly.
It's not like they go to the same school or anything.
And she leaves them outside together, like beforehand, just alone. And he's like asking Jacob, like, if he's old enough. Jacob looks young, but I would have assumed that he would have been able to get into whatever movie they were gonna watch.
Yeah, I don't know if Mike knew how old Jacob was, but he's 15 or 16, whatever. I literally just watched this and I can't remember how old he was, even though there's like a whole conversation that him and Bella. I think he's 16 at this point. But I went to R-rated movies with my friends when I was not 17 or 18, and I never got carded for an R-rated movie. I went to one when I was 14 and didn't get carded. They don't really care that much.
They don't.
Unless you're a literal child by yourself, I really don't think they ever care. Maybe now they do, but they sure as hell didn't when I was a teenager.
Back then they didn't. No, they absolutely didn't.
And he looks like he could pass for 17, so.
Yeah, no, he definitely does, man. And also Mike kind of admits that he's just like not feeling well like before the movie. So like, why are you going to go? And then having to rush to the bathroom and like puke. Look, that's been one of my biggest things, right? Is like puking, right? To this day, I have never been on a roller coaster ever. Okay. And I'll tell you why. It's not because of the height. It's not because of the speed. It's not because nothing. It's because the last thing I want to do is get off a roller coaster and throw up and make an ass out of myself. If I got a park to myself, like if I was a rich man, I'd rent out like a theme park and be like, no one else is coming. I want to ride on all the roller coasters to see which one makes me throw up, and then invite everybody afterwards to say, okay, well, I can ride this one and I can't ride that one and I can ride this one. Then I would do it. But if you're feeling sick, and especially I feel like Mike is just there for like a little bit more, like he's trying to like make it like a date thing. And it's like, if you're feeling sick, dude, and you feel like you're going to have to throw up, like you're going to make an ass out of yourself, like a big one.
Yeah, exactly. And the chances of you getting sick from one of the smooth, like current roller coasters is really slim because unless you're somebody who gets like car sick.
But there's a chance.
Yeah,
though.
I get it. I mean, I
There's a
get it.
chance.
That was my same fear. I was afraid I would throw up on the roller coaster. And then I literally got bullied into going on one. And I was like, oh, wait, this is actually really fun when I was in high school. I think I was a senior, actually. I was a senior in high school before I ever went on a roller coaster. So,
You know what's funny is I don't get car sick. I do get car sick in Teslas. It makes sense when you think about it, right? You know how they have motion sickness stuff? They'll put like these bracelets on you that give you a little bit of a shock sometimes. So like,
yeah.
and it's supposed to relieve it. People don't realize that when you're in a normal combustion engine car, that there's a lot of vibration, and in a Tesla there isn't that.
Oh,
So
yeah,
there's a
I
lot
never
of
thought
people
of that.
I've spoken to that have said, yeah, they're like, that's weird. I actually do get a little motion sickness in a Tesla. I'm like, yes, because number one, they're poorly designed vehicles, and number two, there's no motion, like there's no vibration. I mean, think about it. When you put on a VR system and you're not used to like VR, a lot of people get motion sickness pretty quickly. Why is that? It's because whatever they are looking at is not giving their body, I don't know, that tactile experience of what they're going through, which is what it's like being in a fucking Tesla. That was a tangent, but yeah, either way.
But also in this case, it's like motion sickness and roller coasters and everything aside, like you said earlier, like if you're feeling sick, why would you go? Like I know that he wanted more out of this, and also like I know Mike wanted this to be a date, but he was also like awkward and rude with Jacob earlier because he wanted it to be a date, which was like, come on, man. But if you're wanting this to be a date, why are you going if you are nauseous? That seems like it's gonna, even if Bella was interested, I would definitely never be like rude or nasty or be like, I never want to see you again if it was somebody I really liked and that happened. But I would also not be happy with the fact that you are sick and you came on this date with me. So would you have tried to kiss me if you hadn't had to run to the bathroom to puke? Would you have tried to hold my hand? Because also this does happen in the books, and Bella gets sick too, just from being around them. She also comes down with the same stomach bug. So stay home, guys. If you're sick, stay home. As for the sixth thing we hate about this movie, why yes, Bella, you are being selfish as fuck with/about Jacob. I guess at least she admits that the only reason she doesn't want Jacob to give up on chasing her in a more than friends way is because she doesn't want him to go anywhere. But still, if he can't bear to be just friends with you and he's literally insisting that he is going to keep chasing you and keep asking you out and everything until you give in, A, that's not cool on his part, but B, it's not cool for you to even, okay, you still want to be friends with this person, so just keep very nicely shutting him down. Don't tell him to keep chasing you.
No.
Even if you're admitting that the only reason you're saying it is because you don't want him to disappear on you, don't encourage him to keep chasing you.
Yeah, exactly.
Be just friends I somehow, or don't be friends at all if that can't, I don't know.
Yeah, so when I was younger, I ran into this situation a few times. Chase after somebody, they don't want to be with me, but they don't want me to like not be around, so they just kind of continue to like allow it to happen. And Jacob will break eventually and be like, you know what, fuck this, I'm out. I'm sorry. Everybody has a limit. But yeah, super weird, selfish, adolescent, I guess. But I mean, I guess she's 18 or 17 or whatever the fuck. So
I mean, adolescent, yeah. And I'll be honest, I had at least one guy friend of mine when I was in high school who was like into me, and for a while I wanted to be into him. I mean, he really was so freaking sweet and smart and so funny. I loved being around him. He made me so comfortable. And he was a cutie too. Like, it wasn't like there was no physical attraction or anything like that. It was just like I was hung up on somebody else, actually. And we ended up going to my senior prom together. And I made it clear from the start that we were going as friends and everything. And nothing happened. Like, we went to prom, we danced a little bit. You know, he didn't try anything weird or anything at prom. He didn't even try to like hold my hand or anything. It was just it was a fun time with somebody who I really cared about and who I really, really wished at the time that I could feel the same way about. I just didn't. Then we all went to the beach the next day because that was the thing that we did. We came home from the beach and he was dropping me off at my house and he tried to kiss me. And I was like, I can't. And he wasn't being forceful about it at all, at all. He wanted there to be a thing there for me,
Yeah.
from me too. And this is not me saying anything bad about him. Just, I had to, I can't. I'm sorry, but I can't. I can't imagine having been in that moment and like either said that and then been like, yeah, but keep chasing me because maybe I don't want you to go away or something.
I get that, right? Because it's nice to have that attention. Like it just is, you know, and
Yeah.
especially in your situation, if you were still hung up about somebody else and that person didn't care about you, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like to get that attention, regardless of where it's coming from, it becomes kind of like an addictive drug, you know, where it's just like, well, I just want it to be there because I want to feel good about myself. And this person makes me feel good about myself, even though I'm not into it. So, like, I totally get it.
And again, I felt bad enough about it. I can't imagine being like, yep, keep chasing me, maybe like because I don't want you to go away.
Now, number 7 has a couple of different points to it, but we'll just kick this off by saying, for fuck's sakes, they're not werewolves, they're shapeshifters. Okay, hold up a second. Hold up. We're gonna pump the brakes here for a minute. Are they werewolves or are they shapeshifters? Because they're werewolves, man. Shapeshifters, look, I watched a little bit of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I know what shapeshifters are. Okay, I know what they can do, and they ain't changing into other things. They just change it into werewolves or wolves. They're werewolves, man.
See, and I disagree because I guess maybe the more specific way to refer to them would just be to refer to them as shifters. Here's my thought. Werewolves, as far as I know, now listen, I am not entirely up on my werewolf mythology / lore, but as far as I know, werewolves only change at the full moon.
That is probably true. Yes,
So
I think that is true.
now this one I'm a lot less sure of. I'm 99.9999, like let's say 100% honestly sure that they only change at the full moon. But I think they also retain some human aspects of their form. They don't look like actual wolves, especially close up when they do change. Obviously, like the Twilight characters are way larger than normal wolves, but they're just basically gigantic wolves, like dire wolves, if you will. They don't change into like what appears to be a almost hybrid that's maybe mostly wolf, but still has some, human aspects.
Human qualities.
Everything else about them is wolf-like, and they seem to automatically change, or they automatically go through the process of like finding that part of themselves, that like shifter part of themselves when vampires are around. That's something that is touched on. It may be very lightly touched on in this movie, and they get into it a lot more in Eclipse. But they also seem to then after they go through that process, they seem to just they'll change automatically when they get angry, but then they can also change simply when they want to. Like, oh, I just feel like being a wolf today. I just feel like being a wolf today. Bam.
I get it. I feel like this is kind of like a hybrid, like kind of lore thing between werewolves and like, because look, if it wasn't werewolves, why would they have called the movie New Moon? And then it deals mostly with like the werewolves. And then when Edward comes back and everything's weird, what's the next movie called? It's called Eclipse. Why? I feel like they're still trying to milk it, but I'm sorry, man. Shapeshifter to me implies that you can change into whatever you want because you are a shape shifter.
Yeah.
Right? Not just like, I mean, if you were like a wolf shifter or something, okay, then I would buy that. That's fine. But don't call yourself something that you're not.
In the Sookie Stackhouse novels, they're a lot more specific about their shifting capabilities too. But also, I just calling them werewolves is just odd. And on top of that, it doesn't fit with the actuality of the mythology of the people, the Quaalude people, because we also definitely need to talk about some of the issues with Stephenie Meyer using an actual tribe and twisting their legends. Because the Quaaludes are a real tribe. She used the name and location of their tribe, but still only loosely based the Quaaludes in the series on the actual indigenous tribe that still to this day exists and lives in that area. Just to be clear, like, while it's kind of whatever for Stephenie Meyer to have changed vampire lore for her story, they sparkle instead of burn in the sun, that sort of thing, because, vampires don't actually exist. It's not at all the same as using an actual indigenous people in her story, but messing around with their actual history and their own mythology. I'm not going to get into all the details of it. I already knew some of this, but there was an article I read that dug deep into some of the bigger issues surrounding this. But the TLDR is that Stephenie Meyer appropriated their culture And then she and the people who made these movies made huge profits off of this appropriation. And the tribe never saw any sort of long-standing, truly positive influx of compensation, monetary or otherwise, for the use of their name and legends. And that's fucked up. If this had been written a couple years ago or now, I think there would have been a lawsuit, honestly. And or hopefully it would have been created by somebody who knew to go to them and actually do the work to learn and hire somebody from their tribe to help her. Maybe some things change, but like help her do it in an actually appropriate way. And then they would also get some kickbacks from the use of, you know, and I know that these are like oral stories for the most part and stuff, but it doesn't matter, man. Like the indigenous people have suffered enough at the hands of, not you technically white, but like they've suffered enough at the hands of the white people. For fuck's sake.
No, exactly. You know, and you could have just made it something else, or, you know, if you wanted to slightly base it on their tribe or whatever is like one thing, but to use like their names and their lores or whatever and all this stuff, that is some shady ass shit right there, dude. And honestly, I did not know anything about that until just right now, and it makes me hate the movie even more.
When I read these books, I didn't know about it. I didn't know I think it wasn't until like maybe the movies had started coming out that I learned that the Quaaludes were a tribe. I guess like in the late aughts, I could have Googled it, but I didn't really think to, because I think even back then I didn't assume that somebody would just use and this is a small tribe too. Like the article I read puts them at varying from anywhere from 700 to 2,000 people at a time. They really could have used some sort of something. Yeah. And again, hire some sensitivity readers from the tribe to help you fix the issues. Like obviously that wasn't really a thing when she was writing these books. I get it. And I do have I do feel some grace for situations like that. But I also can't imagine even 20 years ago writing something. Yes, this became big and maybe there was a chance it never would or could have, but I don't know. I can't imagine taking a real tribe and using everything about them to create.
If people are getting pinned to the fucking cross for a joke they made on fucking Twitter 20 years ago, the same thing needs to happen here, dude. But I do believe that there should be kind of a level of grace for it also, right? Because it was a different time when she had wrote this, and I'm pretty sure she didn't mean to write it out of any level of disrespect. She just took it more of a level of like inspiration is what it was, and was like, okay, I want to do this. And back then, you know, we weren't really taught to like be sensitive towards those things. It was just like, oh, we're going to use this in our story.
But I do think that, especially with the movies and the amount of money that was made from them, there should have been some sort of, you know, rewind a bit. Let's do something here. But you know, there wasn't. So all that said, we also have to talk about number 8, Schrodinger's Bella.
Yep.
Is she dead? Is she not dead? Considering how Alice did not see the whole birthday party snafu coming when she was literally in the room with all these people who she knows so well, how the fuck does she see Bella cliff jumping and possibly dying?
Yeah, there was nobody there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I guess Victoria was in the water. The redhead Victoria was in the water.
Oh yeah.
And then there was a wolf nearby. I think it was Sam who saved her again, or maybe it was Jacob. I can't remember who saved her. I literally just watched this 3 days ago. This is how much I care about the minute details. But I do know this: Alice cannot see the wolves either. When the wolves are around, she can't pick their brains or see see the futures of them or anybody around them. So how the fuck did she see this? And of course, this is the reason she rushes back to Forks to see if Bella is actually dead, like she appeared to be in said vision. But of course, Alice sees in person that Bella is not dead. She is alive. But then there's the phone call. This is one of those things where I think the movie, I have issues with Jacob for sure, but I think the movie does Jacob a huge injustice here. But for movie's sake, I'll say, oh, Jacob. Oh, Jacob. This is bad. You knew what you're doing. Fuck off, man. I get it. You're obsessed with Bella, but like, come on, this is messed up. It's Edward who calls. He asks where Charlie is. Jacob just says he's at a funeral and then hangs up. In the book, I'm fairly certain, hopefully I'm remembering this correctly. I think in the book, Edward disguises his voice. And since he only asks for Charlie, Jacob doesn't know it's Edward. So it's not as nefarious as the movie makes it out to be. But now Edward thinks Bella is dead, even though she's not dead. I don't know, man. Is she dead? Is she not dead? She's Schrodinger's Bella.
Don't know. There was just one person who came to the scene to find out.
And that was yes. And clearly there's been communication between Alice and Edward throughout this period of time where he's been off pissing and moaning by himself. But like,
Yeah.
and I know that his mind reading can only reach so far, but I'm sorry, he crushes his phone and that makes him like totally incommunicado. It shouldn't. Even in 2000, when did this movie? Well, the movie came out in 2009. But the book came out, I think, in 2006 or 2007. But still, like, texting was a thing. Email was a thing. Like, I don't know. It shouldn't have made him totally, like, go off the grid. And maybe I'm just being pokey about something that I guess had to happen for plot. But just everybody knows she's alive except for this one dude. Come on.
Oh, man. Next up, stop trying to make Romeo and Juliet pearls happen. So at the beginning of the movie, we have the voiceover of Bella quoting Romeo and Juliet, and they're covering it in their English class at school, and then the climax of the movie takes place in Italy. Sure, Volterra and not Verona, but whatever. And just for fuck's sakes, Edward is going to Volterra because he thinks Bella's dead and wants to die too. Side note, just come on, it's so convenient that he's going to wait until noon when the sun is at its highest level just to reveal himself.
Side note, Edward stepping into the sun would have been so much more impactful if he was going to burst into fucking flames.
Yeah, I agree.
But no, he's just going to burst into glitter.
I'm going to turn to diamonds.
And then the Volturi will have to kill him. And then won't they also have to kill like everybody that saw him? It's just
Yep.
Which is it's also something that we might get into a little bit in our polling size. But I don't know. The Romeo and Juliet parallels are very weird because like the whole point about Romeo and Juliet is that it's about two warring families, right? And that's why they can't be together. The Cullens and the humans, particularly Charlie and Bella, they're not at war. Like, yes, there is like that. I guess you could sort of shoehorn in like the Quaaludes and the Cullens, the Quaaludes or the Quaaludes and the vampires.
Yeah, you can do like, that. Yeah,
that's shoehorning. And I don't know. Did we really need the Romeo and Juliet stuff? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
We don't need the quotes at the beginning. I guess maybe them watching Romeo and Juliet in school is whatever, but I just shoehorns everywhere.
I did like it when they went to Italy because that vampire dude is that guy. I can't remember the actor's name, but he's the one who was like in Good Omens, and he played Michael Sheen. I love watching him. There's something about him that is just mesmerizing to me. I love watching him act. I love him in any role. Like, I don't care. Yeah. So I thought that was cool.
He is funny in this. He's not supposed to be funny in these movies, but he is funny.
He's funny. I love him, dude. He's so good.
All right. Last but certainly not least on our 10 things list. Oh, look, it's Bella's total lack of agency. Again. I almost worded this as I am Bella's total lack of agency because her Fight Club, but like it doesn't really work.
I thought it worked pretty good, actually.
I don't know, they get to the end of the movie and or we get to the end of the movie and spoiler alert, P.S. like they all survive because Bella keeps Edward from going into the sun by being like, I'm alive. And then there's this whole like mini weird fight with the Volturi and this whole thing where Alice has to convince the Volturi that Bella's going to become a vampire because humans aren't supposed to know they're vampires. Otherwise they have to die, et cetera, et cetera. And Aro, the head Volturi guy, is like very obsessed with the fact that nobody can, because not only can Edward not read Bella's minds and Alice can't see her future, but Aro has a power where he can see anything somebody has ever been through or done or thought in the past. And then there's Jane. I'll get into that in my blink size. But like none of their powers work on Bella either. So Aro is like, oh, you'll be a very interesting vampire. So it's decided that she'll become a vampire. So they go back to Forks and then they have like a vote with the Cullens. Like, and I'm sorry, but Bella has already stated over and over again that she wants to be a vampire. So the Cullens are voting on whether or not to turn her into one. She says she wants it, so why not just do it? Maybe not necessarily right now, but like the Volturi have already said they're going to come after you come after her if you don't turn her into one. Why are you voting on it?
Yeah, just turn her there and then closing credits, end of movie. We don't have to sit through 5 movies.
Don't. That's fine too. But say, okay, you want it. Let's plan when we're going to do it. Because like she does have her dad and her friends and her mom and everything. Like she's got some loose ends. She's got to wrap up, particularly her dad. Honestly, he still lives there. Listen, I get not doing it right then, but why are we voting on it? Again, Bella has agency. She says she wants this. So instead of voting on whether or not it's going to actually happen, why don't you just talk about the timing of it and plan, do some planning? And also, my God, after like the vote turns in favor of Bella, Edward, why are you doing this to me? Nobody's doing anything to You?
Ugh.
Like, I get it. He doesn't want Bella to be a vampire because he thinks he's like soulless because he's a vampire. But like, girl,
Yeah,
she's already said she wants to be one.
It should just be as simple as that. I mean, I'm pretty sure vampires believe in some type of free will. And look, there's some things that you don't want your friends doing. Like if I was in the SWAT team and one of my friends I cared about was like, I want to be in a SWAT team. And I'm like, no, I don't want you to be in the SWAT team because we get shot at all the time and I don't want something bad happening to you. I get that, but I'm not going to stop them from doing it.
You might try to convince them that it's not the best idea for their safety, but you're not going to be like, why are you doing this to me?
Why are you doing this to me? I'm going to have to watch you, blah, blah, blah. Like, no. Give me a break, dude.
Oh, and then his one condition being that she has to marry him first, which they don't show this actually in this movie. And I think they do a little bit more with it in the book. They do more with it in Eclipse too, but she does not want to get married. Her perception of marriage is the shit that happened with her mom and Charlie, which was not good. And like, yes, her mom is happily married now, but Bella does not have any desire to get married, particularly not at this age. And also, she definitely does not want like some big wedding, which they're going to make it a show. At least Alice is, but I also think Edward wants to make it a show. He wants it to be a Bella belongs to me show, if you ask me.
Yes, that's probably exactly what's happening there. Yes, absolutely.
Like, never force somebody into marriage. This whole situation is Edward being like, well, all of my family has voted and the majority ruled that you will be turned into a vampire. And also, if you're not turned into a vampire, the Volturi are going to come kill you and probably all of us. But like, you can only get turned into a vampire if you marry me first. What the fuck, man? What is this logic or lack of it? I can't.
Yeah. Oh, Edward. I can't with that. When we get to the next movie, I'll have choice words for both of them. Now I'm like actually interested in watching like the last two movies because I'm like, I have to see how it ends. Like now I have to see what fucking happens here because this is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, because by the way, you'd only seen the first movie before we started this, right?
Yeah, dude, I'm going into this fucking blind. Like I have no idea. So
I can't wait. I cannot wait for you to see this.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, but first we have to finish this episode and we have a whole Eclipse episode to get through. So
okay, so now that we've gone through all of that, it's time to talk about our bling sites, aka any personal insights we've gleaned while watching New Moon. There's a few things that I kind of want to hit on. Number one, I thought it was cool that they focused more on the shape wolfers instead of like the vampires. I thought it was cooler because you get to see like the other side of the coin. So it's not just, oh, vampires are great, whatever. When Edward comes back, getting all pissy about Bella and Jacob, bro, you threw her away like trash, okay? You can't get mad about that. If you were leaving to protect her, like if I had to leave Jen because I was going to protect her, I would sit her down and be like, look, this is exactly why I'm doing this. Just be patient and I will be back once this threat is over. I just don't want you to take on any of that fire. That would have been how an adult handled it. And even though Edward is 17 years old at heart or whatever the fuck, the motherfucker is still 109 years old. He should know fucking better at this point. I'm sorry. You threw her away like trash. You can't get mad when she decides to fucking move on.
I think going back and forth here is a good idea because like I think some of these play off of each other really well. Edward being 109 and earlier in the movie Bella being like, maybe I shouldn't be dating such an old man. I should be thoroughly repulsed. Girl, listen to yourself.
Exactly.
Also, I will say that because you mentioned like loving how they get more into the wolves. What did you call them? Shape wolves?
Shape wolfers.
Shape wolfers. Shape wolfers. I like that. Okay, that's our new term. Shape wolfers. Yes. I love this. Shape wolfers. Yes. The scene when Bella pisses off one of the other Quaalude shape wolfers and he turns into a wolf and is about to like attack her because they can't always control, like they can't control it, right? There's that whole story about Sam and his girlfriend who he's like totally in love with, but he hadn't learned to like control himself yet, and he turned in front of her and hurt her. It's sad. So this happens because Bella like legit pisses this kid off and he turns into he shape wolfers.
Shape wolfer.
It's a noun and a verb.
And a verb.
He's about to attack her and then Jake comes running and he shape wolves. As he leaps over Bella, honestly, that scene, and especially for that time, it wasn't seamless or anything, but the effects were actually really good, and that kind of were better than they had any right to be for this series, if you ask me. But also, we see his pants rip off. Where do
Yes.
they get all of these pants? Do they keep extra pairs tucked away in hidey holes all over the forest and shit? Do they own stock in like Old Navy or Target or
Old Navy.
something? Like whatever the cheapest sort of rippy offy pants you can get
Yep.
are, like, they tear
Yep.
into shreds. Inquiring minds want to fucking know, guys.
They want to know. And to me, it's like, why do you guys walk around with no shirts on? The pants are going to rip anyway.
Yeah.
Just wear shirts
Well,
too.
I almost feel like they should be wearing like rompers.
Yeah, they should be wearing like rompers, dude. And when they transform into their shapewolfers, you know, they like take it off and they're like all naked, like shape on, you know, and they just like turn into the wolf. Like,
But like if you're wearing like a romper, especially like the shorty short rompers for dudes,
yeah,
it's the same amount of fabric as these like knee-length shorts they're wearing essentially. So especially if they're like sleeveless romper. Now I want
yeah.
I wanna see them in rompers.
I personally think they should just have the really flexible material, so when they turn into the shapewolfers, like that they are still wearing the rompers. They're just stretchy, you know? Like,
Yeah, but this isn't like X-Men or whatever where they don't have practically magic fabric that just changes with everything they're doing. And I get that, but also how many fucking pairs of shorts are they going through? Do they have shorts tucked away in hidey holes in the forest so they're not just like wandering? Because it's not just shorts either. It's all gone. So like they're just turning back into humans and like walking around with their dongs hanging out like nobody cares.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody cares. But you know what? You're absolutely right. And I'll totally agree with you because I didn't think about this. But yes, those effects are way better than they deserve to be.
Yeah.
Way
Not all the
better.
time, but like every once in
yeah,
a while.
Every
like
once in a while.
moment.
Yeah, where it's like, wow, that looks really good. It's very believable. I will give you that. The next one. So I kind of appreciate how they got rid of the awkward silence thing. The movie is still completely awkward, don't get me wrong, but it's a different type of awkward. I felt like the first movie had a lot of too much dead air sometimes, and it was very intense and lots of stares and all this stuff. That made me feel uncomfortable. This is awkward. The first movie made me feel uncomfortable. This one is just kind of like awkward. So I appreciate that at least they tried to bring a little more life into it. And I dare say, which I know is not true, that it would make sense, right? When you think about it thematically, right? Because in the first one, it dealt more with the vampires. Vampires are dead. And then you deal with the wolves, right? Wolves they're an animal. They're a lot more life. The tone of this movie had a lot more life to it than the other one did. I know for a fact that's not what Stephenie Meyer was going for. However, that's how I saw it. So I'm like, it makes sense. This one has more life to it. They're dealing with the werewolves and all this stuff. Also, for my next one, out of these 3 movies that I've watched, there is one constant that I can at least get behind, and that's Alice. Alice is a fantastic character. She's a fantastic actress. I love Alice, you know? So at least that I know that as long as they don't fucking murder her in the next fucking movies or whatever the fuck, that at least I can look forward to that.
I will say there's a joke, I think, in the Twilight fandom, and I only know this, I think, because I started watching these, and then like also we've been obviously talking about it in our chat and everything. I've been getting suggested a lot of Twilight fan reels on Facebook. The one girl I've been watching, I think her name is Corinne, because her username is like Corinne with a bunch of extra letters in it, but it's Corinne if you cut out all the extra letters. She's great, actually. She calls Bella Alice's like purse dog.
Yeah, that makes sense.
which is like, it is a little bit funny, and it doesn't paint Alice in the best light, but also Alice is she's so lovely. She's so lovely.
I love Alice.
And we'll definitely, I think there's more to say about her as the series goes on. This next one we both have thoughts on, so go ahead and kick us off.
So hats off to the director or whatever for this one shot, the depression shot. There is this really fantastic cinematic shot that may seem like nothing, but anyone who has gone through depression or anything like that would totally connect with this. The song that they were playing in the background, and
just the music, as always, the music on point in this movie.
Look, one thing that I will not shit on in this entire series is the music. They have a great choice of music throughout it. Okay, but Bella's sitting in the chair looking out the window, and the camera is panning around her like in a circle, and every time it gets back to the window, it's like a different month, and like anyone who has gone through that, dude, like that was the best representation visually that I've ever seen of that. So that was one of those things where I was like, like this one scene is number one is just way too good for what this series is bringing to the table. Like, because this is like some cans bullshit right here. You know what I'm saying? That does not belong in this movie. It should not be in this movie, but hats off to the fucking director for nailing that. I was like, that's perfect.
Yeah, no, I agree. I call it the spinny months go by scene.
Yeah.
But it is really good. You know, I will say I hate when Bella is like, when you guys left, you took everything with you. Like she's writing she's writing all those emails to Alice and they're all going undelivered. But like, girl, you have a father who loves you and friends who would boost you up if you gave them half a chance. But the cinematography is great. And also I have to be real, I fucking get it. I don't think it did so much in the books, but seeing it in the theater, seeing this scene, the way it's portrayed, it really brought me back to my high school days when like the first so-called love of my life broke my heart. The first time I ever had my heart really, truly broken. To be fair, I had friends and family who were like, no, get off your ass. You got to do things. You can't just kind of half exist, et cetera, et cetera. But like, this is the way I felt. If I hadn't had those people in my life forcing me into doing things, this is how it would have happened for me. Maybe not for 3 or 4 months like it was with Bella, but like, yeah, this is the way you feel when you experience that sort of visceral heartbreak for the first time, and also depression in general. But I think like the visceral heartbreak of it was what hit me personally, because I remember that like feeling of like, I have to exist, but I only have to exist. Does that make sense?
Yep. It makes perfect sense. Absolute sense. Because I went through a very similar thing. And I remember that I was like right out of high school and I was dating this girl and she broke up with me, and the same thing, devastation. And I literally sat in front of my window looking at when the rain was falling, because it was the summertime in Miami and it rains every fucking day. And I just sat there and that's all I did. I just sat in front of the window watching the cars go by. So yeah, that scene hit me, man.
To close out the bling sites on a little more of an amusing note, the Volturi just like herding groups of humans in to kill in this like small town in Italy. Like, how does this never got noticed?
Yeah, it's a lot of yelling too. Nobody heard that?
Well, I mean, I get that nobody hears it because I think they're in this old ass building with these thick walls. I mean, I get that part, but like nobody notices this like group of like 30 tourists or something. There just goes missing. There's like women and children and like what? Yep. And also, my God, I always forget how stupid as fuck Jane's whole pain thing is. She's a member of the Volturi, Dakota Fanning. She literally has to say the word pain.
Yeah.
Come on. Because like in the books that doesn't happen. And I get it, it's a movie, but like you really couldn't find some way to like show not tell this.
Yeah.
Or no, she doesn't even make a face. She's just like pain with her eyes wide open.
Yeah. But is that like her only, can she say well, like whatever she wants? And like if I went to someone and was like diarrhea and they just like pooped their pants, you know what I'm saying? Like could I do that? I think I would have more fun with that power.
No, she can only cause pain. I mean, it's still a scary as fuck power, but
it was pretty dumb. Yeah, it was dumb.
All right, what are we rating this on a scale of 1 to 10 spark dolls, with 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest, as in 1 is the worst, 10 is the best?
I'll give it a 3. And I kind of hate to give it a 3 too, because I feel like there were certain dynamics introduced in this movie that I actually appreciate. You know what? No, I take that back. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. And I'll give it a 5 out of 10 because Michael Sheen was in it. Okay. And I like him. And they kind of did their best to bring in like a different type of element. And then the fact that they brought in the wolves and all that stuff. So I'll give it a 5. I feel like it's not necessarily a better movie than the last one, but there was more things in it that I felt that were more appealing, or the way like, because really in the end, a lot of this movie, like nothing really happens, you know. This is just like a weird transitional movie where they're just explaining the shape wolfers or whatever, which is fine, you know, because I wanted to hear about that lore, like, you know, whatever. But I do feel like this movie was a little more discombobulated than the last movie. And like, at least with the last movie, I felt like there was kind of a definitive beginning and ending. And with this one, not so much. It kind of jumped around a bit, but there was still things in it that I felt were like intriguing enough to kind of make me keep watching. So I give it a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's the way I felt. New Moon is, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, New Moon is like the better of the two compared to Twilight in terms of books, from what, because I would not have, I don't, even having bought the whole series, I don't know that I would have continued reading if this book had been different. And I think that they do a really good job portraying, like we've already talked about the depression scene, like the cinematography and everything. I also like that they introduce new, different lore. So yeah, no, I think I'm on the same page as you. I think I'm like a 5 out of 10. And when I say that, it's like, I feel like that means means like I'm neutral on this. Like I actually think it could be good. I don't feel that way.
No.
But I do feel it's slightly better than the
Yeah.
first movie. There's less blue filter. Nothing really happens, but in a way that's kind of better because like the things that happened in the first movie felt really dumb. And we're about to jump into recording our Eclipse episode next. And the things in that movie somehow are even dumber.
Yes, exactly. But it did a good job on just being like that transitional kind of movie. I love movies that don't really have a definitive ending because it's really just introducing something for the next thing. Like I'm cool with that. And I felt like this movie did it okay. It did it the best it could possibly do. Okay.
With the story they are provided.
With the story they had, okay, like whatever, but I don't know. It was fine. I don't think it was any worse than the first movie. Okay, last but not least, what is your watch, read, play, please, anything but this suggestion for this episode? You first.
So I know that in our Twilight episode, I talked about how you should watch True Blood instead. So for this one, I'm just going to continue on that tack a little bit and suggest the Sookie Stackhouse book series. I think it's also referred to as the Southern Vampire Mystery Series. It's by Charlene Harris. I will say they're not very well written books, but they are super quick reads. They're like fun, super quick reads, and they're pretty ridiculous and fun at times. And the reason I'm suggesting them while we're talking about New Moon specifically is because they have a much better like shifter lore than the Twilight series does. So
for this one, I'm just going to say just watch the television series Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That's it. It's just as kind of like hokey as this is, but I think you would like those characters much better than these characters. These characters are, aside from Alice, God bless her heart, but a lot of the other characters are just really difficult to even try to relate to. I just can't, and I try.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about the actors. The actors are fine. Everybody did exactly what they could do with the best they could do with the material that they had. Okay. Nothing against them.
Yeah.
But just the characters themselves, aside from Alice, I just feel like it was just difficult is what it was.
Well, yeah, Buffy is, I've never seen all of Buffy, don't hate. And I think I've only, was there more than one season of Angel? I did see season 1 of Angel.
I think there was like 4 seasons of Angel and it ended pretty stupidly. So don't get invested in it.
Yeah. But yeah, I liked what I've seen of Buffy. It came out at such an odd time where I didn't have the availability to like go watch it live. And this was back in the day before like TiVo or DVR. I know you can probably stream it somewhere now. I've tried to go back and stream old shows. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard.
Like Angel is like what this show should have, or this movie should have kind of angled more towards that because Angel has a lot of the same themes to it, but it was just done much better. It was written much better is what it was. So I feel like if they would have done something like that, it because even though Angel was like a vampire and the same type as like Edward, even, because Angel shows up at Buffy first and then he has his own show later, right? But like even through that, I just felt like he was a much better written character because there was a lot more depth to it. I feel like with Edward, there isn't. Just as much as like with Jacob, there isn't any depth to those characters. Yeah, if you're going to watch something, watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Thank you for joining us for our second Media That Made Us Cringe episode on New Moon. Make sure to check out our other Geek Saga show series, including Media That Made Us, 90s and Naughties Cringe Factor, the Impulsive Hyperfocus solo series, and more. And please do not forget to like, subscribe, or rate us 5 stars wherever you're watching or listening. And as always, also consider supporting us by backing our Patreon at patreon.com/geeksaga_entertainment.